decided to make a change, and Gord Dwyer did an excellent job with that group in the regular season. They had a fantastic regular season, and Gordy has had a great background in coaching. In the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, he was over in the KHL and different things like this, and sometimes there's situations. I've never met him, but he certainly laid a great foundation, and it's great to see him getting a job now in Bathurst and back into the Quebec Major Junior League. So situations arise. I remember hearing Steve Spott when Pete DeBoer and him had to go into Las Vegas middle of the year, and how they made that the first week and things like that. And sometimes it's the unfortunate of the hockey world, and that these things happen. But nonetheless, like many great things are in your lives, you look back, a phone call that can change your life, whether you're Tim, I'm sure you got a call from the National Hockey League at one time. Okay, we're going to have you as our coach. Those phone calls, change your life. And I had the phone call from Trevor Georgie on a Saturday morning, and had said that they made some changes in St. John. They're going to keep the assistants, had some resource people, including Rocky Thompson, was going to be working with the St. John team. And they had asked me if I would be interested in being the head coach. And at that time, I mean, it's a lot of things coming at you. It's a great honor. And I said, okay, can I take some time here, talk to my wife, obviously, and some people in the hockey world, and get back to you tomorrow? And his reply was, we'd rather you come or let us know tonight. So sometimes things happen quickly, but I did talk to some people, including my son, who's works as an NHL player agent now, but is quite prominent in knowing the general managers in the Quebec League, and knew Trevor and that type of thing. So, and I remember him saying, Dad, you've had many opportunities throughout your years at UNB. This one's 1 hour away. It's 1 month, and it's the Memorial Cup. And I had asked Trevor if he had any type of a video on the Memorial Cup, if he could send it to me. And he had sent a video late on the Saturday evening. I kind of had watched it, and it grabbed my heart. And so the next morning, I had to let him know that's yes, take the opportunity. And I just asked when the players would be back, and he said they're coming back that night. And so I think anytime you take over as a new coach, you have one chance to make a first impression. And so my day was, to put a PowerPoint presentation that would try to, capture their hearts and minds right off the bat, and to try to make a, positive impression. So that was my first kind of, let's say, 6-8 hours on the job in St. John. And the group had met at Delta Hotel in St. John, and Trevor spoke to them, and the two assistant coaches were there, and then I come in from the back and introduced me. And I had a PowerPoint presentation, more, I guess, philosophy that we've had here at UNB. I guess my philosophy is, how we want to play as a team, and how we want to conduct ourselves, and basically how the culture or hope to establish here in the month, that type of thing. As I said, there's a lot of good things in the foundation, and it may be like the country and Western song. We just had to get the dust off the bottle a little bit, that type of thing. So that was day one. And, it went really positive to meet the players. I had some information I want them to fill out that night and stuff. So, and then we did bring them back to the dressing room. And again, I had, some team building exercise I wanted to do with them that night, and just kind of, I had to, I guess as a staff, we had to work fast. I didn't know either the assistants, Stefan Legend and Travis Crickert, and Brian Fleming was the goaltending coach. And, we had different resource people. We had Mike Eagles that did the face-offs. Paul Boudelier was on the defense for us. And Trevor, I kind of knew, but really not that much. So it was try to work fast and establish relationships. First of all, I think is the most important thing anytime you're coming in, and with the players, most importantly, but even with my staff. And I remember Travis was his wife that night went into labor, and so he missed the first couple of days of practice. And there was Stefan and I, and Brian was a goaltender coach. At UNB, we have 4 assistants on the ice. 5 of us are always on the ice. And I remember there was a lad that coached the Maritime Junior League, in St. John. I said, if he's around, would he be interested in coming out to practice? And I kind of joke. I said, 24-hour ATO for each and every practice, and he attended all 20 with us, so he did a great job as well for us. So that was the initial, let's say, 24 hours on the job. Our first practice was the next day. And again, you have your first opportunity to make a positive difference and try to, I think anytime you have a new group on the ice is, you want the structure that you want, even how a practice is run. I remember hearing Pat Burns talking about the World Juniors and how he had to make an impact, and he had the 3-second rule. I blow the whistle, you're here in 3 seconds. And I've tried to use that as a coach. And I was lucky to go down with Andy O'Brien to the Vail, Colorado with Crosby and Johnny Tavares, all those people. And the respect, I was the college coach running the sessions there for the week. And I remember blew the whistle and they're in 3 seconds. So I always say, if the millionaires can be in 3 seconds, us blue collar guys can get in 3 seconds, whatever. So that was really the first 24 hours on the job with St. John. I think Tim had mentioned, kind of like, what are some of the keys, that you wanted to establish, I guess, early. And I think biggest thing was, I think anytime is trying to get trust in a group, and I guess it's two-way trust. I've got to start to get the trust of the players. Players got to get trust in, our staff as a whole. And obviously I'm the new head coach, so I think a lot of things we had to work on that part, even standards at practice. I think I try to, be an efficient coach at practice. So to me, a practice is like, like a theater performance. So I've been at this 30 some years and I still spend, probably spend at least an hour on each practice. Okay, how's this drill? Go to this drill. What do we need to this drill? That type of thing like that. So we want to make sure, and it's interesting in St. John, there's a kind of a big room. There's a great big table, kind of the assistant coaches, video room. And, we get to just talk hockey, before practice. If we practice at 1:00, we arrive, very early in the morning and we just go over our practice and spend a lot of time on it. And we had, numerous different guest coaches came in, and Mike, would come in once or twice a week. Paul, come in at different segments and that type of thing. So, and I brought Rob Henniker, who's my associate coach at UNB. And as I told the two assistant coaches, I said, this is the smartest guy I know in hockey. I think he's a tremendous player. He was the best player in the country in Canadian university hockey, signed an NHL contract with the Islanders. And, he's our MVP for 4 years while he played at UNB and had a great pro career. But I said, as great a player as he is, he's even a better coach. He just gets it. And he just sees the game in a tremendous way, So I brought him down with me as well. So that's kind of the opening, let's say 24 to 40 hours. We're lucky. Rocky Thompson, we use this a lot of the schedules they used in Windsor when they were eliminated early. I think they had two physiologists put that together tactically for the physical preparation. Obviously, the on ice, what you want to do the on ice. So we our model was a little bit different. We didn't have, I think they had longer time. We had 39 days between games, and St. John had sent the players home for 1 week, which I think was a great idea, just to get away and kind of recover physically, but also even mentally, So for the players, I think the adversity became valuable for us at the time. You lose out, you had a great regular season and especially a great finish. So they were on fire, and then they ran into a bit of a roadblock and a 5-game series with Rimouski, and, went into overtime at the end, and 1-goal difference, So, but yeah, they came back. They're energized. They're very receptive. I have to give them full credit. Not once during my total time there was there ever a shrug, why are we doing this, or what, they just really bought in well, and the group, we had to push this group harder than I've ever pushed a team. And we work hard at UNB. Like, that's a motto of our success at UNB is our practices, our work ethic, our fitness ability. And we only had the 39 days, or, probably 32 days, I guess it was, to get ready for our first game at the Memorial Cup, So So I think that was, we had great support from the coaches, players bought in, and then we had a great plan from Rocky, and we really stayed with that, like, set up our week. I think our first week was 5 practices in a row, or 4 practices. We had a morning practice, and then we had a scrimmage that evening. So we had 5 different scrimmages set up during the time, and where we brought other players in. And we had a surplus. I think we had 16 forwards and we had 9 defensemen. So we tried to get 5 defensemen in each team and 9 forwards on each team. So, but we had, sometimes in June it's tougher to find, really good players. But we were lucky. A guy like Phil Myers came to all 5 sessions, and he had to drive up from Moncton, a 2-hour drive, and he attended all 5 sessions. Jordan Murray's a former defenseman I had played in Belleville, is playing over in the KHL, and so he came to 4 of the 5. We had another guy, Dominic LeBlanc, who's, a good, solid kind of East Coast American League player. And then we brought 5 or 6 of our guys down at different times from UNB. They were in during their exam period then, but they, whenever they could. A guy like Austin Keating, who was, a back-to-back 89-point guy at a major junior. Ty Boland just finished. He was top 3 in scoring in the East Coast for Newfoundland. Got eliminated in Game 6 in finals. Came back to Fredericton, and 2 days later we had him come down. So we had really good buy-in from a lot of these players, and they were really good opponents for us in these scrimmages, and they were important for us to have, because that was really our only team-wise. And as important as they were for the players, they were probably more important for me, because I had never been behind the bench for this team before. So, and I probably knew 2 of the players. There's 2 lads from Fredericton on the team, Lawrence and Reynolds. So the rest of the players were all new to me as a coach. So it was, even putting our lines together and things like that, it was important for me to see them in game action. You can run a practice, but you guys know it's tough to judge players by running a practice, because you're running a practice. So it's a lot easier when you're behind a bench in a scrimmage. You get to see a lot more of the players and things like that. I can take a pause now if there's any questions to this point.